Welcome back. Over the past week, we've learned about an incredible cleanup technology and how it works. If you haven't seen parts 1 and 2, you'll find links in the description. Today, we'll witness a real-world application that showcases just how game-changing this product really is.
When I was going through your website, which is a great website, we are going to post it at the end. When I was doing my research, I found something that blew my mind. I understand, and you talked about it, the old oil wells and oil spilling and drill bits and drill cuttings. But this thing also works on water.
Yeah.
How the dickens does it do that, and is that true?
I'll let Larry field that one. I think he likes that one.
I do like that one. I find it fascinating myself, Neil. And the word witchcraft gets thrown around every once in a while when we're working with these products. It's science, but it feels like witchcraft because it's quite astounding. So, in particular, with respect to let's talk about the oil fields type products. So there's two primary lines of products. One has a 2 in it, and it's called Rig Blend 2, and the other one is called Rig Blend 1. The 2 is indicative of H2O, and it means that it does, in fact, absorb the water as well.
Wow.
The formulator of the product, who did these compositions and really worked on it for a very long time to perfect them, used to take hydrocarbon mixed water and pour it through the product, the cleaning agent that we've got, the absorbent, and drink the water out the other side. He's
Yummy.
He's well. He's alive. His doctor suggested it's probably not a great idea, but that's the level of conviction that he had. There's zero trace hydrocarbons in the water when it comes through. So to go back again to that original point, Neil, sustainability. Sometimes it's appropriate to take the water away in a drilling environment, and sometimes we have to remember that water is a very precious resource for us as well. And it can still be used as, you wouldn't necessarily want to use it as drinking water, but for gray water, for the purposes of drilling, where there's an awful lot of volume of water used, it can go back into that cycle again and be reused. So, yeah, similarly in applications in mechanic shops and that sort of thing, like, just suggest to your listeners, if the next time they go into their mechanic shop, just have a look at the floor. And because it's relatively new to the market in Canada, and most of them are using the kitty litter type products. I mean, they're using the clay product. And what they tend to do is if there's a spill, they pour some of the clay material on it and they leave it there. And so you'll most often see, it's like a dog park, except it's cleanup of oil spills. You'll see little traces of spills with the kitty litter material sitting on top of it. Nobody ever really cleans it up because it's a pain in the neck. It's really inconvenient. Once you've cleaned the floor, you still have to wipe it with a cloth, and then you've got to get all of your tools and try not to get it on your hands and get it into the bag without getting the bag covered and stuff and getting it on yourself. And then you've got to clean the tools. And this is not a slight at those products. I mean, people have been using them and they are very attached to them, and they've been doing it for a very long time. It weighs 5 to 6 times the weight of our product. It's difficult to handle. And then we go in and show them what ours can do. And so if it's a place where they're using cooling fluids and that sort of thing, and there is water, then we have an application for that. If it's just pure hydrocarbons like lubricants and that sort of thing, we have another application. So there's always opportunities to make formulations that make the best sense for the market, and that's what we're focused on. We want to be in a situation where, and we call it the squeak test, right? So in a perfect world, when you've cleaned up with our product, you're not using a secondary tool following. So you put it on the ground, you use a squeegee or whatever it is you use to clean the floor, you work it in a little bit, you rub it back and forth, you pull it across, and you rub your hand on the floor, and it should feel like concrete, not like oily concrete. And that's our objective, So the implications of that for health and safety, the implications of that for the value of the real estate, for the person who owns it, they're just multiple effects. And for us, every single time when somebody looks at us with that look like, this ain't going to work, and we just say, okay, thank you for the opportunity to show you.
And we're all talking about this like this is, just a product and it works really well. I'm sorry, guys, you got to forgive me. This product's crazy. You just told me that you have a product that absorbs brown, filthy water.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're telling me that you have a product that not only can clean up oil-based or hydrocarbon spills on land or water, But you're telling me that if there's a problem with soiled water, you have a product that cleans that up too.
Correct.
Yeah, like one of the applications that we've considered looking into a little bit further is that basement leaks.
Yep.
So when someone has a large scale basement leak and they've got water in their basement, then you're able to get the fans in there, you get that pump in there, and you start pulling out all that water. There's always like an inch of water that the pump won't grab, and our product line is so well suited for that comparative to what else in the marketplace, because it's not just that it is more absorbent, it's also lighter. So imagine you were trying to clean up a spill like that with that clay-based material that Larry mentioned earlier. The
Couldn't
weight
do
of
it.
that alone would just be insanity. Whereas with us, typically our product, let's say on a weight basis, will absorb about 10 times its weight in a water format like that.
Jeez. So this is actually phenomenal to me because I'm excited about green technology. And it seems to me that some of the great cleanup companies that we have, flood companies, companies that are helping, perhaps not even in individuals' homes, but on a very large basis where, God forbid, there's been flooding, it sounds like there's an application for your products to help in the cleanup. Does that make sense to you?
It does indeed. Yeah, the large disaster. So, with the hurricanes, the unfortunate situations in the United States in recent months, FEMA was one of the largest customers of our American partner. They were buying it by the truckload to help clean up, to help protect, because to Len's point, it's easy to get the large volumes of water out with pumps. It's when you're getting down now and you're trying to prevent mold and trying to prevent total loss that it becomes a challenge. So that's when we come in and help with that. If I may, I'd like to tell you two quick stories, Neil.
Sure.
When we were looking at this, we have a third partner. Kevin is our third partner, and Kevin he's a Missouri guy. He's a show me guy. Doesn't say a lot. Very, very bright guy. Very successful. Very hardworking. Farming background. Owns a transportation company. He's measured in his communication. So we have our first meeting with the manufacturer of the product, and he decides that he's going to demonstrate for us. He's going to put white paint down, and he's going to clean up that white paint with brown material. So in every scenario that comes to my mind, I'm going to end up with a whole bunch of white material left over. The paint may be gone, but I'm going to end up with a whole bunch of white material that has absorbed the paint, but it's visible. The material, not only did it clean it all up, but there was zero white showing anywhere, either on the material that he'd poured it on, which was the ground, or on the residue material that did the cleanup. So Kevin, of course, as I say, he's a strong guy. He's a farmer. He grabs it and he squeezes it, and he squeezes it and he squeezes it, and he looks at his hand, and there's nothing. Now that might not sound that significant to you, but when you actually see that,
yep,
it kind of blows your mind a little bit, because it's happening at a molecular level. Like, the particles are so fine and they're absorbing them so quickly that you almost can't comprehend it. The other situation that we came across was, we were working with a client of Kevin's, and they had a problem. They're a very, very fast growing company, and so they've been forced to, and very capex heavy company. So they make a bulk product that requires storage off site, and so they've got a nice clean facility there down in the Niagara Peninsula. And unfortunately, it's an older building that's been repurposed, so it works well for their needs. But there still was some spills happening, because they're not investing millions of dollars to be for a temporary facility. So I'm trying to be just characterize this in the right way. They're taking all the precautions they can. The materials contained, but it's a food-based product. It's sticky and it's messy.
Wow.
So they had bought a skid of the clay-based product, 45 bags of 40 pounds each on the skid. Okay. And they tried to clean it up once. It took 19 bags to leave them with an absolute mess. So we met with them, and we said, why don't we clean it up for you? Let's just give it a shot. And we go down there with 6 bags of product, 6 20-pound bags of product. And we think we've got enough. We know we have enough, but Again, not sure. It's about a 200 square foot area, about an inch of material on the ground, plus this gooey mess of clay over in the corner. So we lay down the first bag, and it takes a moment because the viscosity, the thickness, and the is very, very gooey, syrupy like material. So it's not like water where it's going to settle in very quickly. Start blending in the material. 20 minutes later, you do the squeak test on the ground. 2 bags. 20 minutes later, it's clean. So that was 40 pounds of our material versus what did we do the calculation? 670 pounds of the other.
Yeah, it was
19
kind
bags
of
at 40
wild.
pounds. 640 pounds of the other material. So forget about the fact that, even if ours cost 10 times as much, and it does not, by the way, it's the fact that you've got labor, you've got people having to handle 40, very heavy bags of material. I think they were 45 pounds, in fact, to dump them on the ground, the dust that comes up from 19 bags of that product, the shoveling of 19 bags of material into buckets to take it away, and then still finding yourself in a position where the space isn't usable. And we come in there with 2 bags, and, we got an order from it, obviously. We've got an ongoing customer from it. But, they bought a skid of our product, and they didn't ask us how much it costs. They just asked us when they can have the skid of the product. So we know that when we put it in people's hands and when they actually demonstrate it with their own problem, then we've got to win.
That's all for part 3. Thanks for sticking with us. Join us Thursday for a final segment where we'll break down the numbers that make this technology not just environmentally revolutionary, but incredibly economically smart too. Please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell a friend, and join us on Thursday.